What's going on, folks? Rick here. I'm back with another video, and I'm here to do my full review of the Google Pixel 6 Pro. Now, in my last video, I made a cons video of the things that I don't like about the Pixel 6 Pro. I was gonna make a video of the things that I do like, but I decided to just toss that to the side and let's just get into the full review. I've had this phone for about a week and a half to almost 2 weeks now, so I think I can make a fairly decent review on my experience with the Google Pixel 6 Pro. So without further ado, let's get into it. So real quick, let's do a quick hardware tour here. You have a AMOLED display over here. You have an optical fingerprint reader here. This fingerprint reader is not 100%. I'd say before the last update, it was about a 70% on target with reading your fingerprint. With the last update, it's about up to about 80 to 85%. It does open fairly well. It's not the quickest one out there, but it does work. After maybe 6 or 7, you might get a false read. But unfortunately for me, in my experience, it's always when you're trying to open your phone really quick is when it gives you that false read. And you do get some haptic feedback to let you know that the read didn't go through. But sometimes I'll keep my finger on the button, and even though it didn't go through initially, a second later it'll just get it and it'll just open the phone. So that's something to note. A bit of an odd setup over here. You have your volume button on the bottom, or your volume rockers on the bottom, and your power button on the top. I have to admit, it has taken me quite a bit of time to get used to it. And going back and forth between this and my Samsung S21 Ultra, it does get a bit confusing, but if you're going to use this as your daily driver, there's a bit of a learning curve to get used to the button placement. And I thought I would learn it a lot quicker than I did, but for some reason my muscle memory isn't what it used to be, and it is taking me some time. So yeah, that's just something to note as well. Volume rockers are on the bottom. The buttons are very tactile. As you can hear, very tactile indeed. Something else I do have to note about this phone is so slippery without a case. I'm just gonna leave this here just to see if you guys notice. And if you see it now, it's moving on its own. It's ever so slightly just moving on its own. This is a flat surface. This is not tilted to one side or not. It's really not doing it anymore, but it did move on its own for a second. Let me put it here and see if it does it. Yeah, I'm doing it right now. You could see this phone. It is as slippery as a bar of soap. So keep that in mind. You definitely want to put a case on this device, or at least the skin at the minimum, because you will drop and break this phone in a heartbeat. All right, let's take a look at the back. You have your 3-camera setup. You have your ultra wide, you have your standard camera, and your telescoping camera here, as well as some flash. Also, you do have a microphone there too. Let's see if I can get it here. Shot. There you go. It's right there, that reflection. So that's basically it. And then you have your SIM card tray here. This does not have expandable memory. So if you're hoping for expandable memory, it does not come on the Pixel 6 line of phones. On the bottom here, you have a double cutout for your speaker grills, even though there's only one speaker, but I guess it's just for optics to make it look symmetrical. There are 2 cutouts, but there's one speaker on the bottom of the phone, as well as your USB Type-C charging port. This can charge up to 33 watts of fast charging. I do have my Samsung 45-watt charger. I have noticed that this phone does not charge fairly quick, even with the 33-watt or 45-watt charger. Anything above 33 watts, this does take some time to charge. From about 10% to 100, it's gonna take you well over an hour and 20 to 30 minutes to charge, which I'm not really a fan of. I know it does have a 5,000 milliamp battery, so it is a big battery to charge, but there are other manufacturers out there, and if they're trying to play in the flagship realm, they need to keep up with flagship devices. There's other manufacturers that do 65-watt charging, and you could charge your phone in as little as 30 minutes. for other phones. So keep that in mind. Fast charging is not that fast on this phone. Also, something else I'd like to note is the volume, okay? So volume on this phone is okay, okay? I have to say, I don't wanna say that the volume on this is not good. It's okay to good, where you're definitely at full volume, you're gonna hear what you're listening to, but there are times that I've struggled in like high traffic areas, or a truck is passing by, or someone's talking in the background, even when I have something at full volume to kind of hear everything. So volume on this is good. I'm not gonna say it's bad at all, but it's not amazing. Other devices, you know, when you put it on full volume, you go, wow, that's pretty loud. This one is just like, okay, it's good, but it's not amazing. So the biggest hurdle that I think with this device is going to be for the layman, most average, everyday user that's looking for a new phone, whether they're coming from iPhone, whether they're coming from Samsung, there's quite a bit of a learning curve to understand Android 12 and to understand the stock Android experience. Personally, I like the skin version of Android. I like the added customization features that manufacturers offer, whether it's LG, RIP, whether it's iPhone, well, not so much iPhone, or Samsung, or OnePlus, whatever the case may be. OnePlus is a perfect scenario where you have a close to stock experience, but they just add subtle little tweaks here and there to make you feel that you could customize this device to be your own. So you may ask yourself, what am I talking about? So let's go through some of the things that I'm talking about. So some of the things that I'm talking about are a lot of sub-menus, a lot of hidden things, and a lot of things that your average day user is gonna have a hard time dealing with. So let's talk about number one. Me, I don't like gesture controls. I know Google, Android, a lot of manufacturers are pushing gesture controls. I like my 3-button layout. You do have the ability to select the 3-button layout, which is great. But on older versions of Android and older versions of Samsung and OnePlus and, you know, older phones, you had at bare minimum the ability to customize your 3-button layout. I love my back button here. Why do I love my back button here? I'm right-handed. So if I wanna go back on something, it's right there. It's in my finger's reach. With the back button being on that side, I have to reach over, and this is a fairly big phone, and sometimes my thumb doesn't fully reach over. I have to like overextend it just to reach over, and sometimes I have to just use my other hand to hit it. Just add a customization option. I know you can get third-party customization of the navigation bar, but again, they're very heavy, they're clunky, they have ads on it because that's how they make money, and it doesn't make these go away. So for the most part, just allow people to customize the navigation bar. The next thing that I noticed, when you pull down this slide over here, this is where you have your tiles over here to kind of figure out if you want to turn Wi-Fi on, if you want to turn Wi-Fi off, if you want to turn up your brightness. There was always a setting here for silent, vibrate, and sound, right? It's gone. It's not here no more. And to be honest with you, it took me quite a while to figure out where the hell is silent, vibrate, and sound. Now it's in the volume rocker here. So you have a button here, you tap on it, and there you go. You have your 3 options there. Again, it's like fixing things that don't need to be fixed, or just changing things for the sake of changing it. Why would you move it from there? If not, give people the option to still have it there. Like, have it there and also have it on the volume key, so people could kind of grow into it and say, okay, on the next version of Android, oh, it was here as well, let me check it out. But again, it's a bit of a learning curve to figure out some of these things. Also, the gallery app. Okay, so contrary to belief, this gallery app is not stock to the phone. Okay, it is a Google app. Okay, but the phone doesn't come with a gallery app. What phone does not have a gallery app? So it comes stock with Google Photos. I like Google Photos to save my photos to the cloud, but I don't use it as a gallery. this phone, even though Google offers a gallery app, and again, going through the App Store, I didn't necessarily see the Google Gallery app right off the bat. A friend of mine had to send it to me to say like, hey, no, Google does offer a gallery app, and kind of research it and find it for me to have a gallery. Every phone has a gallery. For some reason, this phone didn't. It was a bit of annoyance. And those little tiny things that are just gonna get under your skin to the point where you're like, I don't like this phone because it's too hard to learn how to use. I want it to just work, and the standard things that are on almost every device are not there, and they should be there, quite frankly. And again, I could keep going on and on in some of the software quirks and glitches, but just understand there is going to be a very large learning curve to get used to this stock Android version of Android 12 and this stock Android version of the Pixel line. So just keep that in mind. If you're not an avid Android user and love that stock experience and love trying to figure out and find ways to make things work, then I don't think this is a device for you. Stick to a Samsung, stick to at least a OnePlus. But again, if you do like that and that's your bag, then that's fine. So now let's talk about some of the features and things I really do like about this phone and whether or not I recommend it. One of the things I do love is this feature here called Now Playing. So Now Playing, basically, it's an application. I made it a shortcut. It's not a shortcut on the phone stock, but it just listens to all the songs that are playing in the background and just it has a catalog of all the songs. It doesn't tell you, hey, you're listening to this. It's just working in the background. And when you click on the application, you open up and you're like, oh my God, yeah, that was that song. So if you're in a mall and you hear, you know, some cheesy song and you're just like, oh crap, I remember that song. What was the name of that song? It's right there. So that's definitely a decent app. Also, let's talk a little bit about the camera. So that's a hot topic right here in regards to the Pixel line. So I want you guys to notice something. Do you see this little moon in the camera? So that's because I have the camera flat on the surface. When you lift it up, that moon goes away. So put it down, the moon is there. Pick it up, the moon goes away. So this is how intelligent the software is on the Pixel line of phones. It's hyper intelligent, it's hyper intuitive. It's gonna know kind of what area you're in. It has key features like the magic erase feature, where it'll automatically detect people in your shot, and it'll highlight them to see if you want to erase them. You click yes or no, you click yes, it erases them. In certain conditions, it works perfectly. Like if you have like a plain background, it'll work very well. If you have like a more complicated background, like I had my daughter standing against the fence and I cropped out some people and the fence kind of came in wonky and janky, so it didn't look that great. So just consider your surroundings, but there are tons of subcategories, subfolders. The photos of this are just amazing. I snapped a picture earlier, and again, kind of hard to see on camera, but a lot of quality. It's definitely not grainy whatsoever. I do have to have a couple complaints in regards to the camera setup. The front-facing camera is okay. It's not, you know, all that. It does have a wide angle shot. And let's try to see if we can get there. Boom. So you do have two options here. You do have a 1 times and a 0.7 times, so you can see a little bit larger. So you do have a wide angle option. A couple of hiccups that I noticed, kind of like the night sight feature is great. It's gonna illuminate any dark area. You could be in a complete pitch black room. It'll illuminate it. It'll look very bright and you can see everything, and that's great. That's the whole point of night sight. However, a couple issues I've had with night sight where it may illuminate things just a little too much. Like, you don't want a dark room or a dark setting to seem like completely bright, like in the middle of the afternoon. And I find that it does do that. So there's ways to kind of tone it down, you know, through manual settings. But again, for most people, you're just gonna tap on the camera and expect it to work. So if they could like send some kind of software tweaks where they tone it down just a little bit, I think that would be great. You know, sometimes you may want a dim setting and you just want to be able to see people, like, you know, in the setting, or a subject that you're taking a picture of, and not necessarily have the whole room feel like you're in the middle of a sunny park. So again, 3 cameras set up on the back. Again, you have your ultra wide, you have your standard camera, and you have your telephoto as well as your flash and some other microphone sensors on there as well. So definitely camera is a strong suit of this phone. Is it up to the hype that people make it seem? Not 100%. It does struggle in certain atmospheres, and in certain settings it will struggle a bit, but for the most part it's an amazing camera array. Now, I'm not a huge avid gamer, at least gaming on phones. You see I'm getting a lot of false reads there, but anyway, I'm not a huge gamer, but when playing games on this device, it had very few drop frame rates. I have heard if you're playing really highly intensive games, it can drop frame rates every now and then, but for the most part, your average games that people are going to play on this phone is going to work fine. Something else that I noticed, which was a bit of a negative, that this phone tends to get really hot. And I'm not the first person that's kind of noticed that. When I was setting up the phone and I had it on for multiple hours and then had it charging and use it for multiple hours, this phone gets really, really hot. Not like unbearably hot, but it gets hot to the point where you're thinking, could there be something wrong with the phone? Is this phone about to overheat? So just something to note as well, the phone can get hot. In regards to applications, everything is very quick, everything is very zippy, no really lag in the applications itself. I've had a lot of issues with the phone just moving on its own. Anyway, I've had a lot of issues with the YouTube app, YouTube related apps. YouTube Shorts for me don't work. I'll tap on it, they won't play, and then after a few minutes, they'll just pop up on the screen, and I'll have 15 tabs of the same exact YouTube short. So they still need to work on some applications, and Android 12 just don't seem to be meshing. So that's something to know. Maybe by the time you make a decision to purchase this device, they may have some of these issues fixed with software updates and things of that nature. But as of now, YouTube is very glitchy for me on this phone itself. Again, I kind of briefly touched about battery, but charging on this is a bit disappointing. Also, not coming with a charger in a box. Very disappointed with this trend in the industry. It's a bunch of BS and a bunch of baloney trying to make people think they're saving the environment or they're giving you less packaging. Most people are just gonna try to get the latest and greatest charging speeds. So if you promote your phone to have faster charging speeds, of course you're gonna wanna have a new charger that can handle those speeds, because you want to charge your phone as quick as possible. So most people are going to go out and buy the charger that's not included, creating more waste, more boxes, more shipping. So it's a bunch of baloney just to save on not including a charger in the box. So that's definitely something that that is disappointing me, but that it's in the industry in a whole. It's not just Google. It's Google, Apple, Samsung. They're all doing the same things now. But overall, again, with the charging speeds itself, even using a 45-watt charger, even though this only goes up to 33 watts, I found that it could take up to an hour and a half just to fully charge the phone, which is well behind a lot of competitors out there. And if they want to play with the big boys, they're going to have to step it up and allow you to charge your phone a lot quicker. Now, some of the things that I want to discuss is the Translate app. So let's see. Let me try to get to a text that is... Okay, whatever. This is a text message from a realtor, so don't mind the numbers. You need a realtor, you can always call her. Anyway, the Translator app. Okay, so right here you'll have a button. Let me try to zoom in a little bit. Right here you have a Google Translate button. So right away on your screen you can select languages. I think Spanish is set up as a default, but you can translate right here in the app. So you don't have to go to a third-party app or Google Translate, copy and paste it. You can just write it in English, it'll translate it, and you can paste it right to the text of the message as well. Also, what's really amazing on this phone is the dictation on this device is insane. It changes the way I text a lot of people. I usually do physical texting, but now because it's so amazing with being able to pick up what you're trying to say, we'll do an example of that right now. Let's go back to the microphone. So here's the microphone. Hi guys, how you doing? I would like to tell you that I'm loving this device and everything it can do. So without a doubt, you've seen no type of lag, no type of issues with it spelling the wrong words. It gets it right 95% of the time, where I can just go ahead and say something, and then that person is going to get exactly what I'm trying to say. It knows when to stop. It knows when to continue. It knows when to create punctuation marks. It knows what to do almost all the time. All right, so you guys saw that. That came out like perfectly. Like, the only reason why it says punk here is because I stuttered for a half a second when I was trying to say punctuation. However, so the dictation on this phone is insane. Let me zoom back out a little bit. So, to kind of not continue going too long in this video, do I recommend the Google Pixel 6 and the Google Pixel 6 Pro? This is the Pro model, so I'll discuss that. It depends, okay? So, if you want the latest and greatest in Google's technology, their new applications, you know, there's a couple of things I didn't discuss, but I don't want to make this video too long with some of the features that it has. It's amazing in those rights. So, you know, the dictation, the translation, the camera setup, everything, the magic erase, those are all amazing features. However, it's gonna take a person that has a lot of knowledge of Android to just kind of use it out the box and not have issues. So if you're prepared to have a bit of a learning curve to understand this device, to know how to use it, to add things to make it your own, then it's a no-brainer. At $900, it can play with the flagship people out there and the flagship manufacturers out there. Do I think it's 100% there yet? No. You know, it still has a little bit ways to go. Maybe the next variant, it'll be a perfect flagship device. I still think it's a little bit under the flagship carriers out there and the flagship manufacturers, but it's very close to it. So if you're willing to deal with those issues and willing to deal with the learning curve of Android 12 and go through some of the glitches and software issues that it has, then by all means, this is a great device to go ahead and have. Aesthetically, I really like the look of the cloudy white variant. There we go, sliding it across. Anyway, the cloudy white variant is a very good look. They have a couple other different color options. I think there's like a gold champagne option and a black version as well. And when you get the Pixel 6 standard, they have a couple different options as well. So I definitely like the aesthetics of it. I love the Daft Punk visor in the back. I think it breaks up the look of just like that big camera bump in the corner or a big camera right in the middle of the phone. So definitely something that I do like. Again, I am recommending this phone, but if you're maybe an older person or maybe someone that's not really super tech savvy, I'm not recommending this device. Go to a Samsung, go to another manufacturer, even iPhone, whatever the case may be. If you're Android, most likely you're gonna go to Samsung. I don't recommend this for someone that just wants the phone to work out the box and doesn't have to think too much about menus and subfolders and having things that are on every other phone that this may not have. So I'm not recommending it to those people. But for someone that has a clear understanding of Android and wants to harness all of its features, then go ahead. This is an excellent device to get. Alright folks, that was my video. If you have any questions in the comments, there are a few things I didn't touch base on. We could haggle that out in the comment section. Please leave me a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So definitely do recommend this device for a certain type of person. Alright guys, take care.